Okay, let us start. Om सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृत दुहे नमः. We have this evening, going by Indian time, this morning in the West, a webinar which is going to draw from Bhagavad-Gītā only, while we have the regular classes on Wednesday morning of India every week on Gita. Over there we have come up to the middle of the 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshana. This webinar, as all of you have seen the title, is focusing on the light that Bhagavad-Gītā throws upon mukti, moksha, or liberation, called emancipation also, called freedom, and referred to in several other ways, which we shall show in this short presentation. Mukti is the final goal of human life. As all of you know, it is the fourth and last Purushartha. Anything and everything that you and I may desire in life falls in the four categories of Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha. And Moksha is our topic in this webinar. Let me share some simple slides whereby I will show the shlokas which especially I have picked up, though there are many more shlokas which also have a bearing on this topic. Let me enlarge this and let me, for my observation, remove that other window. Webinar 294 by Fawai Forum is about the wisdom of liberation. In the Bhagavad-Gītā, on another occasion, we will see the wisdom of liberation in the Upanishads. Right away in this title slide itself, you find a picture. Shri Krishna, who had said, who had announced, he would not touch any weapon. He would only be a Sarathi, charioteer for Arjuna, is seen in this picture, which is based on the Mahabharata, moving towards Bhishma ferociously, with great anger, great vigor, and great energy, holding a chakra, the wheel of a chariot, I guess, or as some reports go, his own Sudarshana chakra, whichever way, He, in fact, takes a weapon and says, Bhishma, you have done enough. These Pandavas are on the side of Dharma, and you have ruthlessly killed a very large number of soldiers on the righteous Pandava side. Enough is enough. I am myself coming to finish you. Everybody is shocked. How can Shri Krishna go back on his word? And of course, he doesn't really release that disc. Bhishma bows down before Shri Krishna and retires. The first general of the Kaurava army, therefore the first 10 days were or are called in Mahabharata Bhishma Parva. It is in those 10 days Bhishma was the army general. Even Bhagavad-Geetā is taught in the beginning of that Bhishma Parva. So you have Bhishma bowing out, and Shri Krishna does not throw that disc at the grandsire. And why I have put this right in the front, in the very title slide, is this action of Shri Krishna goes well with a certain verse number 17 of chapter 18, which says, Yasya naham krito bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan na hanti na nibadhyate. A very, very thought-provoking shloka. If you are free of ego, if there is no ego in you, then no matter what, that shloka says, even if you kill thousands of people in this world, not that it is literally giving you a sanction or encouraging to go and kill, that's not the idea, but to convey a certain truth. When there is no ego, no sin comes anywhere near you, no merit also comes anywhere near you. You are in moksha, you are that Atma, then you are the pure Satchit, and you are above everything. Therefore, Shri Krishna does a little drama over there. He as though does something sinful, for by touching a weapon, he has made his own statement false. It would amount to asatya. But Sri Krishna, Paramatma, is ever above dharma and adharma. Therefore, whether you like it or not, moksha is a state of being. Pujya Chinmayananda used to say it's a state of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness. Our consciousness presently is so identified with the body and mind. But there's another state of consciousness where one is very clear. I am not this body. I am not this doer. Nobody does anything. This sense of doership is a primary illusion in you, says the Vedanta. Therefore, you are free, you are liberated when there is no ego in you. Not when you just say, I have no ego. that wouldn't mean nothing. When you actually have no ego, how would we know it? You will know it when you know it. You will know it when you have it. So, we are going to talk about moksha. Let's see how a few shlokas that we have chosen here give us some hints. So there is the second slide. This has the word mokshyase. Right at the beginning of the 9th chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, promises Arjuna, My dear Arjuna, Anasuyu is how he addresses or he refers to Arjuna. You, all said and done, are free from jealousy, are free from envy. You are not somebody who sees fault in people who otherwise have a lot of merit. Shutting our eyes to the merits of people, when we focus on their demerit only, that is called asuya. Guneshu dosha darshanam asuya iti uchyate. Idam tute guhyatamam. I am telling you now a top secret. Guhyam is secret. Guhyataram is a greater secret. Guhyatamam is the top secret. Snanam vijnana sahitam. You will have knowledge, you will have a deeper understanding of all the words that you listen. Yadnatva, most importantly, by merely knowing this truth, knowing this secret, by merely knowing, ashubhat mokshyase, you will be liberated from all evil. Ashubha means all that is inauspicious, all negativities, all depression, all stress, all worthlessness. You and I go through very many problems. Sometimes loneliness hits us. Sometimes we feel so useless about ourselves. Sometimes we are simply bewildered. We don't know what life is all about. There is sorrow, all kinds of, they're all called Ashubha. Yad Natva. Therefore, Shankarāchārya is 100% right when he says Bhagavad-Gītā primarily teaches Brahma-Vidyā, and all these other things, Karma Yoga and so on, are stepping stones to Brahma-Vidyā. Gita is moksha shastra. Shankara doesn't mince words. When he says right in the introduction, this is a moksha shastra. It is the very essence of all the Vedas, meaning the pure Vedanta. Yat natva mokshase ashubhat. That is one hint at the power of knowledge. Then you have Shri Krishna saying again, and I am jumping all the way to the 18th chapter, to this very famous shloka. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshaishyami ma shuchaha. Again, explicitly, the reference is made to moksha. I will give you, I will bring to you liberation. Ma shuchaha. Do not cry anymore. Do not have even a trace of shoka. Shoka is sorrow. Therefore, Swami Akhandanandaji of Vrindavan, those good old days, said, Bhagavad-Gītā may be rightly called Ashokopanishad. Like there is Kenopanishad, there is Mundakopanishad. Ashokopanishad. Because Shri Krishna's teachings begin with the 11th verse of the 2nd chapter where he says, Ashocyananvashochastvam. You cry over matters which do not call for any crying. Therefore, don't cry. And towards the end of the Gita, like in the 66th verse, Bhagavan again says, Ma Shucha, Shokam Ma Kuru, Shokamagnaha Ma Bhava. Don't be immersed, don't drown in sorrow, get out. But the word of interest to us in this webinar is mokshaishyam. I will liberate you. But I would make a comment here, since the word is explicitly given here. Sharanam Vraja, surrender to me. Leave aside everything. This doesn't mean leaving duties and responsibilities in some irresponsible manner. Unfortunately, sometimes in a hasty look, irresponsible behavior resembles very mature renunciation. A renunciant, mature person also walks away from very many roles that he was otherwise playing. And an immature, lazy, who is looking for a good excuse to keep away from any work, also walks away. They look alike, but there is a huge difference. As we often give the illustration, there is as much difference as between infrared and ultraviolet. Both are invisible to naked eyes of human beings. Both are darkness for a human being. But infrared is below the range of visible energy waves, and ultraviolet is above the range. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. These are the 7 frequencies of electromagnetic waves, which are, as far as our eyes are concerned, they are light. Whereas ultraviolet is darkness, infrared is darkness. But there's a huge frequency difference. Likewise, Sharanam Vraja. Now, this may or may not literally mean not playing one's roles. King Janaka continued to play his role as the king of the country, and many others give up their role as husband or wife, as father or brother, as king or minister, etc. Many hand over charge to somebody else, literally. So, literally, whether you walk away or in your heart you walk away, doesn't matter. But surrendering to Lord is important. And surrender is technically called Bhakti Yoga. The way of surrender is Bhakti. Sri Ramana Maharshi used to say, there are 2 ways, 2 great grand paths to liberation. Inquire or surrender. Inquire means the path of jnana, knowledge. Surrender is the path of bhakti, which is loving devotion. And while the path of jnana, which is also great, many of us are trying to follow it, is also done quite hard. It is like how a baby monkey has to hold on to his mother, and the mother jumps from one branch of a tree to another. Very much gladly, the mother monkey carries the baby, but the baby has to hold. Whereas in the case of the kitten, the baby cat, it is the mother cat who holds the baby cat and takes it from place to place. Full care. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham. What Shri Krishna says in 9th chapter, every mother cat also says without knowing Sanskrit. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham to its child and takes full care of the child. The child just surrenders. The child doesn't question, doesn't look up and say, who is this? Who is taking me? Who is lifting me? What's this? No. The child knows, I am in the care of my mother. The way of surrender wants us to be like the kitten, and Shri Krishna is the mother who takes full responsibility. And what is the Sarva Dharman Parityajya? Thanks to that superior spiritual wisdom, even if you are playing the role of husband or father, etc., in your heart of hearts, you know, I am none of these actually. All these are just a facade, just an outer appearance. What am I then? I am a servant of God. Everything is happening as per God's will. Not just words, but when this becomes our outlook, our understanding, our deepest experience, which is very much possible in human life and we must strive towards it, then moksha is ours. Moksha ishyami māshuca. Therefore, parabhakti is regarded a way to, para means nishkama bhakti. You don't ask anything from God, and then God liberates you. That is a way to moksha. Now coming back to jnana, we are primarily into jnana yoga through study of Gita, Upanishads and so on. There is this powerful shloka in 39. Having talked about Atma Jnana, Sankhye-te yesha abhihita, yoge buddhi imam shrudu. Shri Krishna talks about Karma Yoga, but then he says, in Karma Yoga, you get your mind purified, and when the pure mind perceives the supreme truth, karma bandham prahasyasi. You will leave, you will cut all the ropes of karma that bind you. Yesha te vihita sankhye buddhi, comma, then yoge tu imam shrinu. Sankhye esha buddhi abhihita tava, yoge tu imam shrinu. Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Here literally, buddhi is the karma yoga buddhi. It is the outlook where you say, I don't want anything. I will do my duty. I am a doer. I am a karta. And I am doing. But it's not for my own personal benefit. It's because it's my duty and it's to serve others. And as I explained, this is not the buddhi of the Atma Jnana. It is the Nishkama buddhi. But that Nishkama buddhi, by way of praise, is called the way to liberation. In fact, Shri Krishna says in the 5th chapter, do not make a distinction between Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. We're going to see a verse also on that. And when you are at the height of Karma Yoga, you already have Jnana. In fact, unless you have an inkling, an intuitive grasp of you are not being the doer, God alone being the doer, Prakriti is the doer, you actually are the witnessing consciousness. Thanks to satsanga, thanks to study, thanks to contemplation, thanks to inquiry, thanks to periods of silence that you observe, silence in between periods of study, discussing, talking, hearing, etc. Interlace sadhana with words, with sadhana without any words. Those of us who do not sit even 2 minutes quietly are very foolish. We have very much undervalued the power of silence. We may begin with 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Or if it's so difficult to sit quietly without doing anything, do things like pranayama, do things like slow yogasana, where, yes, you are focusing on breathing, you are focusing on bending backward or bending forward, stretching, making some movements, and you are focusing on being aware of that yogic posture. You are not thinking about your business, your home, your family, your money, no. So you are pretty much close to silence. And in the height of Karma Yoga, which is called Buddhi here, Buddhya Yuktaha, literally Karma Yogena Yuktaha, but by implication, reaching the height of Karma Yoga, you have glimpses of the truth that is conveyed in Jnana Yoga. The expression used is interesting. Karma bandham prahasyasi. I would say that's one more expression for moksha. Karma eva bandhaha karma bandhaha. Once you are into karma, then you are bound to enjoy karma phala if it's good, suffer karma phala if it's bad. But this enjoying or suffering, which leads to more vasanas, more karmas, because if you enjoy something, you want to have more. If you suffer something, you develop a dislike towards it. Oh my God, I never want to go through such a situation. So the mind, rather than settling down, will acquire more likes and dislikes, more attachments and aversions. Therefore, karma is regarded as bandhana. Karma binds us to the mind. Mind is thoughts. What are likes and dislikes? They are nothing but thoughts. When I went to the opposite flat here, they offered so many sweets. Ganapati they have kept. Tonight they are doing Visarjana. And I said, okay, nobody from Powai Forum is watching. Let me have one laddu. That's a thought. That's only a thought. See, let me enjoy. I did not. I took a top small portion of one conical sweet. I think it's some form of modaka. And then I ate a whole apple, almost a whole apple. So it's a thought which says, wow, this sweet is a long time since I ate this. Oh, how handsome that man is. How pretty this woman is. Oh, how wonderful that necklace is. What a wonderful car is moving here in front of me. Thoughts, thoughts, and thoughts. And when you get sore with somebody, angry with somebody, and you burn with the discomfort, it is thoughts. Karma makes you remain in the domain of thoughts. Jnana. Spend a little time, spend some time in reflecting on the Atma Jnana. Wonderful literature is available, teachings are available. All you need to do is take a sip. Take a sip of that nectarine Atma Jnana, contemplate upon it. Even for a few seconds, if your mind becomes calm, if you feel, really, I don't need anything, I'm happy. Next moment, you may lose it. Don't worry about that. You did enjoy, you tasted your own innate, natural, uncaused happiness in contemplation upon Vedanta Satya. Therefore, we say, Jnana, even if it is for a split second, lifts us above the mind. Ordinarily, you and I enjoy, happiness caused by something. Ate a sweet, watched a movie, listened to a song, enjoyed something of the world. That object leads to a certain happy thought, and thought is mind. So your happiness ordinarily is through senses and through the mind. Indriyebhyaha, manasaha, buddhehe va. An intellectual, when he listens to something, when he understands something which so far he had not understood. This morning, while reading Einstein's theory of relativity, finally this man understood. Oh, he's very happy. There is no sweet, there nobody came and praised him, but just the understanding in every field, even if it is solving a crossword, when you get the right word and fill up, you feel so happy. So all that is dehe, manasi, buddha. It's in the body, that is senses, it's in the mind, or it's in the intellect. But jnana lifts us above the mind. Though the mind plays a role in that whole process. Manasa eva vidam aptavyam nehana nasti kinchana mrityo samrityum gacchati yaiha naneva pashyati, says Kathopanishad. Manasa eva idam aptavyam. You need to use the mind. But using the mind, you rise above the mind. Using a pole in the game, in the athletic event called pole vault, You use a tall, long pole, run a distance, plant it on the earth and rise to a certain height, and at the right time, gently push that pole behind. That pole is left. Likewise, you may say, these Vedanta teachers ask us to sit quietly, meditate, but they are giving talks and talks and talks. All the time they are talking. They are so much into words. Rama, Rama, it is too much Shabda Rashi. Hold on, hold on. There may be some half-baked Vedantis who simply talk. God save them. But good Vedanta teachers also use words and do not hastily judge them because they are talking. Somebody from a distance might even judge Swami Chinmayananji. Oh, he was going from town to town and just giving morning lecture, evening lecture. During the day also, if some college invited him, some Rotary Club invited him, somewhere again he would go to companies, he would go corporate platforms. He was so fond of words and words, was he not? Oh dear, do not judge someone like Swami Chinmayananji so recklessly, carelessly, irresponsibly. Hold on. See his life. See his entire personality. Read various anecdotes, various narrations of how he dealt with situations, how, whether it was he or his sannyasa guru, Swami Shivananda, they were very active. Those who knew Swami Shivananji closely say he hardly rested all the time, speaking, sharing something, giving medicine because he had a doctor background, and serving people, sometimes traveling, sometimes sitting amidst people who are singing bhajans. So bubbling with energy. Swami Chinmayananji also was like that. In contrast, of course, Swami Tapovanam was more quiet, not so active in various ways. Just because somebody spoke and spoke from that lecture series in a Ganesh temple in Pune in 1950 December, all the way till end of July in 1993, 43 years. Yes, Swami Chinmayananji apparently was so much into words, but don't judge him. Those words came from love, came from a vision, and for him the words were secondary. He had a certain insight with which he lived all the time, and he used words to convey, and he had complete control over speech. If he wanted, he could have sat quietly for any length of time, but he knew that God was using him in a certain way. He played his role. Above the mind, Jnana takes us. Jnana burns that bondage. Fourth chapter of Gita says, like fire burns heaps and heaps of dry wood. Yataidamsi samiddobnir basmatat kurute tatha Jnanagnihi sarva karmani basmasat kurute Arjuna. The fire of right seeing. It's not bookish knowledge. Do not insult books, but at the same time, do not think that knowing many books, many mantras, many shlokas, giving a lot of lectures, etc., is a way to liberation. All of them play a secondary role. Jnana, that burns bondage of karma and gives us liberation, is characterized by a seeing. You see, you see the rope as the rope, not as the snake. Somebody else may come and, having read a few books, may give a long lecture, words and words. This looks like snake, but it's actually a rope. And I tell you what a rope is, blah, blah, blah. But even as he sees that object at a distance, his mind says, I better not go very near as I am talking all this. Who knows, it may be a snake and it may bite me. then he has so much to say about the rope that seemed like snake, but he doesn't have the insight. Therefore, Shankarāchārya calls moksha as caused by, in a manner of saying, samyak darshana. Are you seeing yourself as Satchit? Or did you just now finish a 10,000 words essay on Satchit Ananda? If your answer is, I wrote an essay of 10,000 words, I don't see myself as Satchit, there is no jnana in you. Jnanam karma bandham dahati. In the same way, we take another look, and at two places in Bhagavad-Gītā, Bhagavan Shri Krishna highlights the power of right seeing. Power of right seeing. And to define what right seeing is very hard. Who sees and who doesn't? Very hard. Therefore, he uses a puzzling expression. And the Sanskrit goes, Yap pashyati sapashyati. In the 5th chapter, he says, Ekam sankhyancha yogancha yap pashyati sapashyati. 99 out of 100 people classify this is Sankhya, that is Jnana Yoga, that is Yoga, Karma Yoga. Look, he is into rituals, so he is caught in karma. Look, he is sitting quietly reading some Sanskrit mantras. He must be Jnana. You are seeing just the superficialities. There are people who are into karma outwardly, but they are Jnanis. And there are people who are into jnana outwardly, but they are caught in karma. You can't judge so easily. In either camp, there are people who have risen to dizzy heights of understanding. Keeping them in mind, and for a while at least letting go of emphasis on external descriptions, Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Sankhya and Yoga are no different at all at that height. In Karma Yoga itself, for that matter in Bhakti, for that matter in Yoga, you could rise to the same height where those who study Upanishads have a chance to reach. Ekam Sankhyam cha Yogam cha yap pashyati sapashyati. And in the 13th chapter, he says, God is equally present in all, and those who see vinashyatsu avinashyantam yap pashyati sapashyati. Vinashyatsu means in 1,000 things which perish. Everything perishes. Small and big things perishes. Everything is changing. Most of us here, the speaker included, are seniors. Majority of us in this webinar attending or speaking are above 60, above 65, above 70 and whatnot. All of us have seen with our own eyes. In our own eyes we saw yesteryear's beauty queens, yesteryear's most handsome men, how they became old, how they shrank, how the charm on their faces went. And even as we felt bewildered, what? My God, how good he used to look. How charming she was at one time. Is this her picture? Is that his photograph? We go and stand before mirror. We ourselves also. If we see our own pictures in the 1980s or 70s, we were very handsome. We were very good. You know. So everything changes. That is called vinashyatsu. Vinashyan, vinashyanto, vinashyantaha. Go to the 7th case singular or 7th case plural. Vinashyati, vinashyatoho, vinashyatsu. That means in things that die, you must see something that does not die. In the sick person, in the terminally ill patient on a hospital bed, in people who are going through hard times, in any terrible situation, you actually will have the eyes to see. If you have the eyes to see, you will see. She who sees, sees. Others do not. But who is this she? Difficult to say. When you see it, you see it. Yap pashyati sa pashyati. In San Francisco Bay Area, there is Ravi Ranganathan who was so inspired by this. Yap pashyati sa pashyati. And some time back, he started a podcast series. He has been attending Vedanta classes from late 80s or so in San Jose in my mission. Attended hundreds of classes by Sri Swami Tejomayananji, then hundreds of classes by me, then hundreds of classes by other acharyas who went there. And today, he completed just recently 100 podcast episodes. And if you want to hear him, it's in English. It is titled, a podcast called Yap Pashyati Sa Pashyati. I met him 2 months ago when I was in San Jose. He is retired from his, computer's job, and he goes everywhere. And the only thing in which he finds greatest joy is sharing wisdom of Gita. Informally, he does. He's not a Swamiji. He has some more outwardly some more family responsibilities, but inwardly a good example of somebody who drank from the fountain of Bhagavad-Gita's wisdom. Yap pashyati sa pashyati. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam. Next time some relationship of yours crashes. Next time somebody who was your best friend for 35 years leaves you. Next time some situation takes you away from the place you like, from the job you like, from the person you like, from etc. Remember this. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam. As things are crashing, things are falling apart, there is the truth. And to see that truth liberates you. That is the message here. And please note, pashyati. Yaha pashyati. That means pashyati comes from the verbal root drish, darshana. Drish becomes pashyati in present tense. Drish pashyati. Pashyati, therefore, is all about darshana, about samyak darshana. Just one or two slides more. The greatest wisdom, greatest justice is done to Jnana Yoga in the entire Bhagavad-Gita in the 13th chapter. And right away in the first two shlokas, Shri Krishna throws the Vedantic bombshell. In the first shloka he says, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidhiyate yatadyo vetti tam prahuhu kshetrajnam iti tadvidaha, and so on. In every person, you, me, an ant, an elephant, anybody, anywhere, there is something perceived and then there is a perceiver. Perceiver. So we first imagine, okay, there are millions and billions of perceivers then, countless perceivers. The second shloka is the actual bombshell. Sarva kshetreshu. Let it be the body-mind complex of an ant. Let it be the body-mind complex of an elephant. Let it be the body-mind complex of any of us, anywhere and everywhere, where there is seeing happening, knowing happening, hearing happening, listening happening, watching, smelling, tasting, thinking, feeling joy, feeling sorrow. Million things happen. In all of them, if you dig deep, and that's the job of spiritual practices. If you dig deep, you, the knower, is no other than God. Kshetrajnam mam viddhi. Shri Krishna says, I am the light in you. The one light in every living being. One light. There is no two lights. You mean the light in Shankarāchārya, who was a realized person? and the light in me, in such a stupid person as I am. How can both the light be same? The light in Shankarāchārya, Ramana Maharshi, and so on, and the light in every one of us is the same. Then where is the problem? In a manner of saying, the problem is in the mind. Why that phrase in a manner of saying? When you inquire, you will find there is no problem anywhere. The problem that caused bondage is a myth. It's not real. It's a myth. There is no real problem. When you think you are bound, you look bound, you feel if you are bound, you experience bondage. Vedanta is not to be taken as very much like any other science. Vedanta is the science of transcendence. Vedanta is the science of waking up. When you wake up from a dream, it's not another journey you do within the dream. It's a journey out of dream. It's like a rocket escapes the gravitational pull. It goes out of the atmosphere far away. It gains, it attains, it gathers what they call in physics the escape velocity. When it gains escape velocity, it is close to zero gravity. So you have all that rocket science, space science. That's an analogy with its limitations. But in the matter of Vedanta, believe these rishis, it is the truth. The one light, only one light in every living being is the only truth that needs to be known. And to know it is liberation. That's what Shri Krishna says. That knowledge leads to liberation. So, these are all to be contemplated upon. One more expression for this moksha is Amritam Ashnute. Neyam yattat pravakshyami yajnatva amritam ashnute anadimat param brahma nasattan nasaduchyate. On a lower plane, what is manifest is sat, what is invisible is asat. But this is neither manifest nor the invisible one. It is something which is beyond description. Na sat, sat na asad uchyate. But the highlight is amritam ashnute. For mrita means dying. Mrita is vinashyatsu. Amrita is avinashyantam. See the imperishable in the midst of the perishable. Amrita is not going on living 300 years, 500 years, and so on. Vivekananda said even a banyan tree lives for 500 years. What is so great about it? It's not the years you fill in life, but the life that you fill in your years. Live in divine contemplation. So, Amrita, immortality is the word used. That's many places. That also means liberation. And in the 13th chapter towards the end, this is practically the last slide, Shri Krishna says, the whole search in Vedanta is for that seer, kshetrajna, and letting go of our entanglement in the scene, the kshetra. The field is kshetra, the knower of the field is kshetrajna. Already it was said, Bhagavan, God himself is the kshetrajna. That means we have, on a deeper plane of our existence, absolute identity with God. We must realize it. Kshetra kshetrajnayoho evam antaram jnana chakshusha. With the eyes of wisdom, you must see the distinction between the pure awareness, which doesn't get caught in anything at all. Only in a manner of saying we say you are caught presently in body and mind. You, the pure awareness, simply cannot get caught in anything. The idea I am caught. I am terribly caught. My condition is pathetic, I tell you. All such thoughts, all these ideas are all tons of foolishness. Nothing has happened to you actually. How can you say that? You don't know how much I am suffering. Every one of us at times says like that. But in true seeing, you will laugh at it. I cried that day unnecessarily. I laughed at that day unnecessarily. There was no need for me to cry. But that time I was so ignorant. So you look back and laugh at it. Like that, if you see with the eye of wisdom, how the seeing principle, the light of seeing, simply is not bound, was never bound, cannot be bound, then they yanti param. Such people who see it go to the Supreme. They attain the Supreme. And this expression, they attain the Supreme, also is one more way of calling or referring to liberation. So that's how we have actually taken this wisdom of liberation as the theme for a 5-day camp starting on 8th September in Sidhbari, where at a kilometer distance from where we are going to have the camp, there is the Samadhi of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandji. For that, this is the topic we have taken, and I myself am picking up, like picking the best flowers from a garden, picking the best fruits from a fruit shop, and picking shlokas. Today, for this webinar, I collected some more I will collect, and we'll be discussing this over there. So this is the wisdom of liberation as found in Bhagavad-Geetā, and the last slide is a thanking slide, and here we bow down before Lord Shri Krishna, who is rightly called in that shloka prapanna parijataya. At the end it says, Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. Shri Krishna, you actually milk the cows of Upanishads and give to us the life-giving, liberation-giving milk called Bhagavad-Gītā. Gita-charya you are, and we bow down before you, O Shri Krishna, O Gita-charya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hari Om and Namaste. Okay. Someone has said something 2 days ago on Friday night as a reply to a question by someone from Dehradun. You told how insight is not the outcome of thought. That is deleted from the video while trimming. Can you explain? Let me be brief. It is actually a false conditioning in us that all intelligence is in thought. We are so used to, so attached to, so caught up in thinking. We are especially caught in so much of verbalizing. Scholars and others all are caught in thinking. But the seers, the rishis have said, with due respect to thinking, with due respect to powers of the mind, they say, you are essentially chit. You are Sat Chit Ananda. Chit is intelligence. Chit has unthinkable powers of seeing, of knowing. And not only spiritualists, but even scientists, physicists, mathematicians, economists, botanists, zoologists, doesn't matter which subject. In numerous subjects of the world, people have admitted that they could not arrive at a certain solution or at a certain answer to some question that was bothering them. And when they left, when they gave up on it, and just went maybe somewhere and they sat looking at the sky maybe. Somebody sat on a bench watching a lake and some birds, some ducks or swimming upon them. Out of nowhere, a certain insight came to them which had no connection with the thinking that they had made. The nephew of C.V. Raman, Chandrasekhar, who was an esteemed professor at some university in Chicago area, who got Nobel Prize much after he became US citizen. So he is not counted very much. And America named a certain satellite or something on him, Chandra. Chandrasekhar wrote a book of memoirs, reminiscences. And over there he talks about some colleague of his who are struggling with some experiment which had something to do with a beam of light striking a certain substance, and then some ripples or some reflections would take place. And Chandrasekhar in his book writes about that colleague who worked very hard. And then one fine morning, he somehow felt, I think I should make a beam of light, maybe it's a laser beam. This beam of light today in the experiment, as I enter the lab, I'll make it hit a piece of, I guess, zinc. Zinc. I'll make it strike a piece of zinc and then let me see what happens. But even as he was walking in the corridor, it is said that must have been a white American guy. Something was telling him inside him, not zinc. Don't put zinc. Put lead. 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 Lead is another element, right? Pb, I think. This is Sn or something. So put a piece of lead. He said, what is this? What is this? Some nonsensical thought coming in me. Something was telling him from inside. But it got stronger and stronger. Then he went inside the lab and he had an assistant. Last moment, he says to the assistant, put a piece of lead. He was thinking of zinc from last night till this morning. Put a piece of lead and let's do the experiment again, the one that we did yesterday. And whatever, he was shocked. Upon keeping a piece of lead, certain results that he was able to record led to an extraordinary discovery. I myself have to get that book again. I found it long back in the library of Rajghat Besant School, a school run by Krishnamurti Foundation, India. And somebody showed to me. There also I did not read fully. Just that portion I said I had read. So just to quickly mention one more example, you have Srinivasa Ramanujan, and he came out with all kinds of equations, formulae. And when they asked him, how did you get these? It's not through accumulation or a logical developing thought, as though from nowhere. He said, Devi Namakkal. Namakkal is a famous, I think, Shiva temple or something. There's some Devi also there. So Namakkal is a place, pilgrim center in Tamil Nadu. Devi Namakkal gives me all this. Therefore, to explain insight is not easy, but it is something which is not through an accumulative graded process. It's not a logically built process. It's perhaps not a process at all. Teachers like J. Krishnamurti and Vimala Thakar have talked a lot on insight. And J. Krishnamurti especially was hell-bent on saying, no books, no study, no amount of thinking can bring you to freedom. Freedom is through impartial, unbiased observation, watching. And see, watching and observation are not thinking. Watching is like you are operating similar to light. So that's what more or less I said that day too. Parvati says, I think Swamiji, while chanting the name with full focus, there is temporary liberation. Sure. You and I get glimpses or certain hunch of what it is, but we lose it. So all that Vedanta does is one is systematize, structure it, put it in the right framework. Another is help you abide by it, stay by it. Therefore, yes, in japa, tapa, in paropakara, in service, in million things, it is said when you faint, when you are deep asleep, everywhere, actually you get a taste of what your true nature is. But it's difficult, it is not very appropriate to say what causes, bringing a cause to the worldly behavior itself has certain flaws. Therefore, don't get caught in the cause-effect issue. Time, space, and causation also, all these are trappings. Try to watch without getting caught in space, without getting caught in time, without getting caught in some process of cause and effect. What caused? What came first? Chicken or egg? What came first? Tree or seed? Don't worry about that. Leave it to the scientists. They will go on getting Nobel Prize after Nobel Prize for going one level further. Going one level further is no going anywhere. J. Krishnamurti would say, the first step is the last step. And the other journey where there are many steps is no journey at all. You are back to square one. So, one more question. Because we feel we can have liberation anytime we decide it, we postpone it. Yeah. We postpone it. There is some laziness in us. As we grow, our obstinacy grows, the questioner says. And we get least cooperation from the mind. So true. When we want to plunge, mind offers resistance. Very true. So true. You and I read some high plateau Vedanta, and especially if there are statements, Vedanta, moksha, don't worry about moksha. It just happens one day. He said, thank you very much. I was wondering whether I have the time for watching a movie. Now you clarified. Vedanta happens, right? Okay, let it happen. Now I will keep myself busy watching Netflix movie. Okay, I'll conclude by answering or doing as the next question or request goes. Although meanwhile I'll open. There is. I'll come to that. Someone has requested. Please show slides 1, 2, 3 again. I'll do it after answering these two questions. One is thank you for enlightening. That's all. That's a thanks. Impressive talk. That's appreciation. Please differentiate become Brahman and Ishwara. Brahman with a role to play, create the whole universe, maintain it and dissolve it. Brahman plus a role to play is Ishwara. Ishwara detached from the role is Brahma. Ishwara is Brahma basically, but when you view it with a role, by your viewing Ishwara with a role, he doesn't become one notch less or one grade less. He is Brahma only. But when we see Ishwara Brahma with a role, that is Ishwara. And elsewhere it is even said Ish Brahman plus Upadi becomes Ishwara, Samashti Upadi. Samashti Upadi is using which a role is played. Right? So, Sachin Tendulkar's mother would see him, Sachin, whether he is sitting having a badam milk, drinking something, or playing with all those cricketer batsmen wear some leg guards and some gloves and whatever. So with or without that, for Sachin's mother, he is my son. With or without all that dress, for Sachin's wife, royal husband. Like that, Brahma, with or without a role, is Brahma only. But Brahma without a role is called Ishwara. That is a certain philosophy, certain philosophical structures. Now, as per the request, I am going to share the slides again. And in that especially, I am going to show the first three slides. To do so, something went wrong. Okay, I clicked on the wrong button. Share. Go to the first one. That is the first slide. You are free when there is no ego in you, irrespective of anything you do or do not do. Second slide. You will be liberated from all evil. Mokshyase Ashubha. 9.1. Third slide. The famous sloka. Sarva dharman parityajya. Mokshaishyami. I set you free. We take it because Sharanam Raja is there. We take it in the context of Sharanagati Bhakti Marga. So we can send you all the 9 slides if you wish. Send an email to forum@yahoo.com. Harihi Om. Good night to all in India and good day to everybody in the West. Om Namah Shivaya.